Hold. Hold. Hold.
You better hold on for dear life, because it's time for the Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium.com, on the call to freedom.
All right, so you heard that right. You're listening to the Crypto Hour with Chris and Aria. So today we're going to have on a representative from Vertcoin who will be talking to you about cryptocurrencies and Vertcoin. Welcome, Gert.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so
we like Vertcoin a lot because it shares so many of the philosophies that we share. Security, decentralization is a big one, and obviously being ASIC resistance aids in the decentralization aspect. So can you give us a brief overview of Vertcoin and the philosophy behind it?
Yeah, sure. So Vertcoin is a digital currency, just like Bitcoin is and Litecoin is. There's just a key distinction in Vertcoin is that our core value is to have a decentralized network, a payment system that anyone can participate in. And one of the things that we do to achieve that is that anyone should be capable of mining Vertcoin. So mining is is actually the way that currency comes into circulation. And by allowing everybody with their regular hardware, like their normal computer, to mine Vertcoin is sort of a way to make it fair for everyone to participate. Where if you look at Bitcoin and Litecoin, their mining economy is sort of disturbed by the fact that you need this, expensive specialized hardware to be able to mine. So it's not achievable for everybody to participate in that. And that's something that we really want to ensure for the long term, that everybody has access to this mining.
and what is that
Sorry.
called exactly?
What do you mean? What is what called?
Is it called like ASIC resistant mining?
Well, ASIC resistance is a part of it. So it stems from the fact that we want to fight these large centralized pools of miners that essentially appear when hardware is very expensive to buy. So only, large parties can afford them. They put a lot of them in a central warehouse. They can do that with GPUs as well. But the difference is that I can also buy a GPU, and there's no economy of scale in GPU mining. So if you want to buy 1,000 GPUs, you would pay more or less the same as I would, just 1,000 times as much. Whereas ASIC hardware, you can get a pretty good deal if you buy a lot of them. So there's a scale benefit that's not there in GPU mining. So you can compete with your GPU in your gaming PC. You can just as good be a part of the network as somebody that has 50. It's just more equal that way.
Oh, interesting. Is now I understand
it
that
actually is. And when we first had James from Vertcoin on, during one of the commercial breaks, I downloaded the one-click miner, and by the end of the show, I was mining Vertcoin.
Exactly.
Of course, the GPU that I was using at the time was in the process of dying, so I didn't get anything out of it, but it was really fascinating. It was really fascinating and really awesome how available mining had become.
That's one of the key elements is the fact that you can mine it with your GPU. That's one. But then still, if you're if you're not tech savvy enough, historically it meant that you could not mine even if you had the proper hardware. It was very difficult to set up a miner because you had to sometimes even compile code. You had to do all these sorts of things, and if you forgot one of the steps, then you were actually burning electricity but not getting any currency out of it. So we try to fix that with the one-click miner. And well, the one-click miner, I mean, what it does is in the title, you download it, you put in your wallet address and you click start. And at that point, you're participating in securing the network. And as a result of that, you're receiving Vertcoin as compensation. And it's really easy.
So
it's very cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. Okay, so I know that I'm not really a big into cryptocurrency mining, but I find it a very interesting topic. Now I know that there was a lot of mining going on with some of the more mainstream cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and so on in China, and that kind of it's kind of drying up now because the Chinese government is coming in cracking down, and they're moving to Iceland, I believe it is, and somehow, from what I understand, Vert helps decentralize this. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about why that is and how that is?
Well, what you see in ASIC mineable coins, so coins that have specialized hardware to mine, is that they're only interesting for people that get like the first batch of a new ASIC miner, and they buy a large quantity of it, and then after 2 to 3 months they sell them off secondhand because they make
that
back
sounds
their
very
investment.
similar to the problem that proof of stake has, where at the very beginning of the coin, people buy hundreds of thousands of it, and then it becomes less and less available for ordinary people.
Yeah, it's similar in the fact that the access to participate in the network is not, well, it's not free. I mean, even with the GPU, it's not free, but I'm talking free in the sense of permission. So it's not permissionless. So in proof of stake, you have to buy a lot of coins in order to participate in the consensus of the network. And with ASIC mined coins, you need to buy very expensive hardware in order to participate in that consensus. And with Vertcoin, you can just buy a GPU. I mean, you do the more expensive the GPU you buy, the more coins you can mine. But
naturally,
even with a smaller GPU, you can participate. You don't have to ask anyone for permission. You just insert it in your PC, you start the one-click miner, and you get a part of the rewards that the network gives for securing the network. And by allowing people, even at a small scale, to mine it profitably, the profitably part is the most important. So even if I run only one GPU, I'm still able to mine it profitably. And by having a lot of small miners, you're much more decentralized than when you have like 2 or 3 big mining farms in China or Iceland or wherever the power is cheap. Then if those go down or their government cracks down on them, then your network suffers.
So that's interesting. So basically that because you can have multiple smaller players get involved in the mining, it becomes without having an advantage. You no longer have an advantage to become to centralize and have a small number of players, do all the mining. It ends up spreading it out around the world. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right. So your network becomes much more resilient to cracking down of the government.
All right,
all the governments have to do
we're
it
about
at the same time.
We're about to come back in a minute. You're listening to the Crypto Hour, and we'll be back with Gert. We're currently interviewing Gert from Vertcoin. All right, Gert. So you wanted to talk a little bit more about Vertcoin and some of the new stuff that's happening.
Yeah. So one of the things that's quite exciting is since the start of the year, there's been 2 community projects running that are trying to open a exchange where you can buy Vertcoin with your fiat currency. So that's like dollars and pounds and euros. And what I like about these projects the most is the fact that they originated from our community. So we have a very active community in Vertcoin, people that either speak their mind positively or negatively, that help us focus on the things that are important. But there's also people that actually do stuff. They really want to try to get Vertcoin advanced, and two of these people, Adam and Justin, they're both working on an initiative to make their own exchange that's primarily for Vertcoin. So yesterday, the first of the two launched to the public, which is VertPig, which some people find a bit weird name, but it's like Vertcoin piggy bank type of thing. And it's a UK-based exchange where people can buy Vertcoin with British pounds. And that's actually very exciting because there was no real exchange for Vertcoin to British pound. There was only like a broker. So a broker buys the coin on an actual exchange and then charges you fees for the ease of use, basically. So it was kind of expensive to buy. And this is an actual exchange, so you can just deposit your money and order a Vertcoin for a particular price and get it. And it's really exciting to see somebody from the community doing this and actually, having it live on the internet right now. It's very cool.
So yeah, it does sound pretty cool. Does how is it? How does it work? How was it working before? Was it like a vending machine or? Do you know?
So what happened before is that there's various sites where you can like buy Bitcoins or you can buy Litecoin.
Mm-hmm.
And people would buy another currency like Bitcoin or Litecoin, then move it to an altcoin exchange like Bittrex or Poloniex or some of the other exchanges that are out there. And then
that is how I got all of the Vertcoin that I have.
So you're going to be able to buy Vertcoin directly with British pounds.
Yeah, so there were sites where you could buy Vertcoin directly, but they would do all the difficult stuff for you. So they would have like Bitcoin on an altcoin exchange and then buy it for you, and charge you fees because that's convenience that you have to pay for. But here it's actually you're depositing pounds and you can trade pounds to Vertcoin. There's just an order book like there would be for Bitcoin or Litecoin. So that's a huge improvement over what you have to do right now in order to get Vertcoin. So that's really important to us, that the threshold to access Vertcoin is much lower for UK residents now.
Okay, so in other words, you don't have to buy another cryptocurrency before the Vertcoin, correct?
Exactly, it's direct fiat to Vertcoin trading.
Awesome. So that is pretty exciting.
But it can only be bought with British fiat. Like I can't use American fiat to do it.
Yeah. So right now, this is a British pound to Vertcoin. The VertPig company is also contemplating getting a euro to Vertcoin exchange going. So that would be interesting for me because I live in Euro country. And now I have to first buy Bitcoin and then go to and then all these steps. And there's a second project that's called Vertbase. That's actually US based, and they're working hard to get $1 to Vertcoin direct exchange possibility.
Now I have a quick question for you. Most of the cryptocurrencies that you can get, right? You can't get the cryptocurrency directly, right? It's like there's only like 3 or something that you can actually get directly.
Yeah, I think there's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple. That's about it. I think
so it depends on what exchange you use.
Sure. But there's still even if you look at all of the exchanges, right? Like most of these cryptocurrencies, you first have to get another cryptocurrency in order to get your hands on it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing then for Vertcoin as far as like, you know, competition, so to speak, with other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, it's a huge thing in that perspective, but not only like that, it also means that Vertcoin can be one of those coins that you first buy in order to buy another currency on an altcoin exchange, for instance, because the benefit of Vertcoin over, for instance, Bitcoin is obviously that our blockchain is faster. So if you buy Vertcoin with your dollars or pounds or euros, then you transfer it to an altcoin exchange. It will be there faster than when you buy Bitcoin.
Can you tell me a little bit why it's faster?
So there's the blockchain itself confirms transactions in 2.5 minutes versus the 10 minutes of Bitcoin. That's basically it. So it's 4 times.
I mean,
faster.
why does it take 2.5 minutes instead of 10 minutes? I think is what he was asking.
Okay. So basically every blockchain has a set of rules that are sort of baked in. And the block time, I mean, the time at which blocks release is one of the metrics of a blockchain. So in our case, we just chose it to be 2.5 minutes. It's programmed into the blockchain, or it's actually programmed into the clients, which means that the mining difficulty adjusts itself to release a new block roughly every 2.5 minutes. And with Bitcoin, that same adjustment will result in releasing a block every 10 minutes.
Okay. Is you know, does it when the, you know, as Bitcoin has become more popular, it became slower and slower. Is that another issue, or does this solve that issue?
Well, there's more things that would solve that issue. I mean, the block time is constant, but if the volume increases to 4 times what is clogging up Bitcoin, then Vertcoin would be clogged up as well.
Okay.
But there's other solutions, and maybe we can go into that later in the show.
So we're gonna be back. You're listening to the Crypto Hour on Call to Freedom. We'll be back, and we have Gert in the studio. On the line, I should say, and we're talking about Vertcoin. Gert, you want to take over and tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So before the break, we were discussing what influences the speed on the blockchain. We talked about block times, and one of the things that you mentioned was that that what we saw last year when Bitcoin had such a huge interest all of a sudden, that the network sort of got clogged up. So there were so many people using the network that the network became slow and unusable. And the question was, does a faster blockchain solve that problem? So it only solves the problem up to a certain degree. So if our blocks release 4 times as fast, that means that our problem starts 4 times as late. So at 4 times the volume that was causing trouble in Bitcoin, there will still be trouble in Vertcoin as well. So that's why what's under development right now is the Lightning Network. So the Lightning Network is a way of transacting securely coins like Vertcoin or Bitcoin without actually using the blockchain. And how it works is that you open a payment channel with somebody that you want to transact with, and you can deposit money into that channel. So let's say I transact with somebody often. I can deposit 10 or 100 Vertcoin into that channel, and then from that moment on, I can freely distribute that 100 Vertcoin between me and the other side without using the blockchain. So we sort of mutually agree how much of that 100 Vertcoin is mine and how much is yours. And then without using the blockchain, I can keep changing that. So we can keep paying one another within the bandwidth of that 100 Vertcoin without having to use the blockchain. So that means that it will be instant. It will only be limited by the latency of the internet, basically.
Let me ask you this then, on that note. If it's not on the blockchain, then where is there any record of how that Vertcoin, as you said, was divided between, your friends? Because isn't that the advantage of the blockchain, is that it's a permanent transcript of who owns what? If you take that off of the blockchain, there's just kind of no record of it at all, right?
No. So what's important to understand is that a Lightning channel exists between two peers. So it's a peer-to-peer channel. And the record of the division is only kept by the both of us. So we mutually agree what the division of that fund is. And at the time we are closing the channel, so at some point I say, I'm no longer going to be sending you payments, so let's close the channel. Then at that time, the division that we ended up with, let's say that's 50-50 for instance, will be committed on the blockchain again. So then from that moment on, there's sort of the funding at the beginning of me adding 100 Vertcoin into the channel, and there's going 50 to my wallet and 50 to your wallet when closing the channel. But everything that happened in between is only known by you and me. And that's why the Lightning Network doesn't only solve a scalability problem, but it also offers more anonymity because I only know the start and end state of the division of funds. I don't know what happened in between. So it's still secure. So there's no way for me to cheat you out of your coins. But it's faster and it doesn't need the slow blockchain in order to confirm the payment.
That's
fascinating.
Very fascinating. So I know this is similar to, or it's the same thing as what Bitcoin is implemented, right?
Well, what's important to realize is that Bitcoin, the Bitcoin developers, they focus on the blockchain. They focus on the basic layer that has to, keep everything above that working. So they're not working on the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network started out as a paper. So somebody invented the concept of the Lightning Network on the Bitcoin blockchain. He wrote it down, and now there's actually 4 implementations going. So there's 4 different open source projects working on implementing the Lightning Network.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not being worked on by Bitcoin.
Understood.
But
no, I'm sure the Bitcoin miners hate it.
Huh? Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Well, it wasn't really a question, it was a comment that I'm sure the Bitcoin miners absolutely hate the Lightning Network.
So that's actually one of the reasons that they try to block the segregated witness activation, because they see transacting outside of the blockchain as something that's not going to make them any money. So if the blockchain is limited in capacity to a couple thousand transactions per block, then that is the amount of money that they can make. And if Bitcoin would go global, or if Vertcoin would go global, then it will happen on the Lightning Network. It cannot happen on the blockchain. It's just not, there's not enough capacity. So they felt threatened by the fact that there's a possibility to transact without us getting money from it. And they did their best to block the activation. It still happened in the end. But there's evidence of why centralization in mining can be a problem to technological advancement, because the miners can essentially block whatever you want to implement. But if that's 30,000 people mining that are all part of a community that have the same values of decentralization, then they won't mind you activating those kind of things. That's why we didn't have any trouble getting SegWit activated on the Vertcoin network.
Yeah. Would you say that the Lightning Network implemented by Bitcoin has had an effect on the fees that people pay? And I imagine it would have some sort of similar effect on, on Vertcoin.
Yeah, so the fees on Vertcoin are essentially as low as they can get. So there's like a minimum fee that we add to the network to prevent spam, and that's what you're paying. And that's mostly because the Vertcoin blockchain is not full. It's not used up to the maximum capacity. So there's no need for fees to be higher, like what happened in Bitcoin, where fees determine priority. But what you already see on the Bitcoin network is that the activation of segregated witness, which means that there's more transactions that can fit in that 1 megabyte block, is that the fees already go down. And the Lightning Network will make sure that the high fees that we've seen in December, January will most likely not happen again if the Lightning Network is successful.
That's a very, very interesting content or comment there or discussion. So you're listening to the Crypto Hour and with Gert from Vertcoin and Chris and Arya, and we'll all be back in a couple more minutes. So keep on listening, and if you want to call in, you'll in a little bit here, you'll be able to do that too. You are listening to Call to Freedom on LRN.FM, and we have the Crypto Hour with Gert. This is Chris and Arya. So Gert, you were talking about the Lightning Network and how it is going to improve Vertcoin.
Yeah, so the Lightning Network is, currently under development, so it's not something that you can rely on yet. You cannot entrust your money to it. But what's important to realize is that the Lightning Network is just the technical layer that allows you to exchange Vertcoin outside of the blockchain. But what we're working on right now is to make a next generation wallet that you can use to actually work the Lightning Network to your benefit. So what we mean by that is that the wallet will essentially allow you to pay somebody else regardless of whether they're on the Lightning Network or not. It's not something that you have to worry about. The wallet will just make sure that the most efficient payment will be sent. So if you have a channel with somebody already, or there is a route via somebody else that you can use to pay somebody over the Lightning Network, then it will use that because it's the cheapest payment. Or if that's not possible, then it will ask you if you're going to be transacting with this person more often, in which case it makes sense to set up a Lightning channel with that person. And if that's not the case, then we just do, the ordinary blockchain payment. But what's most important is that for the user doesn't have to understand the Lightning Network in depth. They just, scan a QR code and send the payment. And we're trying to abstract all that technical stuff away and just make it usable to a level that, your credit card or your debit card or whatever you use right now for digital payments. It has a level of it works, but I don't need to understand how it works. If I do, I'll look into it. But
so,
that's the wallet, the wallet thing.
Is the Vertcoin wallet? There's already a Vertcoin wallet, right?
Yeah, there is already.
Okay, so it's the implementation of the Lightning part in the Vertcoin wallet that's not yet there.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. Right now we have the Vertcoin wallet. We have multiple Vertcoin wallets, and they all work on the blockchain. So there's no Lightning Network involved there.
Uh-huh.
But what we're working on right now is a mechanism where you have sort of a device in your house, like a Raspberry Pi, or a very simple computer that you can have running all the time, that will secure your coins. So that's something that you run yourself. The whole idea of cryptocurrency is be your own bank. So you're really going to be your own bank, and that device can then be remotely accessed from your phone or from your desktop or your laptop or whatever device you want to use, and can be used to transact on the Lightning Network. So you can control the same wallet from all your devices, where now it's pretty common that every device has its own wallet. So that's kind of complex.
Wow, that's actually sounds really cool. So this is something that's more up my alley as far as decentralization is concerned. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that works? So it's like basically like a web server of some kind running on like a Raspberry Pi type device that you then access like as a web page on your phone or something like that?
No, so the idea that we have now is it's indeed a sort of Raspberry Pi kind of device that runs the blockchain client. So it's
Right.
actually a node on the network.
Yeah, right.
And then it allows you to connect. It allows you to pair a device. So you can pair like your mobile phone by scanning a QR code on a web page, and it will exchange keys, and it will connect over the Tor network to the device.
That is
and
a very
to have like a secure connection to your own device. It also takes care of like firewall issues by using the Tor network. And once it's paired, you can remotely control your wallet in a safe way. And we think that that's like a user-friendly way for people to actually run something like a full node, which is sort of technical, by just buying a Raspberry Pi, downloading a pre-built image, and insert it into the Pi, start it up, and that should be it.
That sounds actually that sounds like it would simplify it greatly. It still sounds too technical to me for your average user, but it certainly opens up the doors for distributing a device that already has everything pre-installed that you can plug in and make go.
Exactly.
That's what I was
so
going to suggest.
There's an option obviously for partnering with hardware distributors, for instance. If they if they have all the stuff in their store and they just need the image to burn it onto a disk, you can buy a Raspberry Pi with a Raspbian pre-built images from various web shops. So why wouldn't they be able to supply our image on such a device? And the whole plug and play device idea can also be extended to, for instance, miners. So even with a one-click miner, you still need to build a PC with a decent GPU. So there could be a Raspberry Pi kind of device that has a decent GPU in the future. I'm not sure if that's coming, or maybe it already exists. Then you can offer a plug and play mining solution.
One of the ways that these devices work, these rigs, these mining rigs, I noticed, was they use a USB to PCI adapter, and then you plug in the PCIe card. I wonder if that would work with something like a Raspberry Pi to mine cryptocurrencies, because that would kind of be interesting if you're doing something like Vertcoin.
Yeah, so I think the PCI risers with the USB ports, it's not actually USB. It's just the fact that they need the number of wires in a regular USB cable. So that's why they use it to extend the PCIe port to a riser card. But there are embedded devices. I've seen at least one, I don't remember the name, that has a PCIe port. You need one. You need a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Allow you to plug in a GPU, but if you have an embedded device with a PCIe port, then it should be able to build sort of a pre-made device to mine. So then you have a miner, you would have a full node / wallet. And you can also think of a third device would be like an in-store payment terminal. You could, with the same technology, you can run it on a Raspberry Pi, you attach a display, and you can show QR codes to somebody that wants to pay you over the Lightning Network. And, with our next gen wallet, they just scan the code and they pay. So there you would have like almost a full currency system in 3 devices that people should just be able to plug in and run.
Well, it's certainly very fascinating to hear that the stuff that I've envisioned already is actually in the works. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen a lot of this type of technology come out and be shipping already. I mean, it's been. I mean, how long has Bitcoin been around? I mean, it's obviously this Vertcoin is new, but I mean, Bitcoin cryptocurrencies have been around a while at this point, right?
11 years now, I believe.
Bitcoin is Bitcoin's Genesis block. So the first block of Bitcoin was 2009. So that's 9 years now. But I mean, the Bitcoin community, the development community of Bitcoin focuses on the blockchain. So they don't want to bother with all the other stuff around it. And that's where the altcoins like Vertcoin, they take what made Bitcoin good, and they try to further build on top of that. So we don't have to worry about the blockchain. That's taken care of. We just can focus on all the other ideas that we have to offer functionality on top of the blockchain. And that's what we're doing.
All right. Well, this is it basically for the crypto hour. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Gert, or you only got about 10 seconds left here, or we can bring you back?
All right. Check out our website, vertcoin.org, and check it out again in a couple of weeks when we renew it.